Welcome to Under the Hood Podcast. In this podcast, we pop the hood and give you an inside look at the hows and whys of our ministry here at Cornerstone Church. I'm Michael Nave, your host. Welcome to this episode of our Under the Hood podcast, where month after month, we take an inside look at the mission and ministries of Cornerstone Church. And for this episode, I'm excited to welcome Christine and Heather into the studio with me. Welcome, ladies.
Hello, hello.
Thank you, Michael.
So, Christine, I remember the first time we ever talked in the worship center.
Oh, yeah.
And like in our very first conversation, you said to me, yeah, I won't ever work for a church again.
Yeah, I did say, I confirmed that memory. Very much so, very much so. My husband kind of threw me out there and, she used to do kids ministry.
Yes,
and I was like, never again. And here we are, 6 years later?
Isn't that something?
I think annually we should go to that spot and say,
yes,
yeah, we were wrong.
And remember that day.
Yes.
Oh, it is so great to have you as our kids director and the ministry you have. And thank you for jumping into this.
I just feel so lucky to do it. I love what I get to do.
Absolutely. and Heather, I first met you as Alex's wife. But there's more to you than just your husband. Go ahead and give us a little introduction to who are you?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm an Aquarius. No, I'm kidding.
She's Emery's mom. That's how I met her.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm Emery's mom. I'm also a teacher and an aspiring principal and a huge book nerd. That's me in a nutshell.
Yes. And when you say aspiring, you're meaning close.
Very
so
close.
Next
yes.
spring.
Next
So
spring.
congratulations to that. And
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Christine, give us the rundown on who are you, and for those who have not yet had the opportunity to spend some time with you.
Okay, I am a wife and mother. No, I have two sons. One's 22 and one is almost 20. So I'm almost out of those teenage years. I'm feeling very old. And I have been in ministry for 10 years now and just love it. Before that, I was a public school teacher and an administrator. So Heather and I have a lot in common there. And we're both boy moms. So we have that in common. And we just talked about we're not people who put up 5 or 6 Christmas trees. We are very much one or two. And so, we have Heather and I have a lot in common. We were quick friends in this whole process.
Oh, so fun. And it's been great to have this conversation with you. And let's be honest, we're having a difficult conversation today. So I appreciate the joy and the love of children and the love of life and love of Jesus that you bring to this conversation. Because this summer, we had 5 brave teenage congregants step forward to alert us of the sinful behavior of one of our pastors. And those allegations were confirmed. That pastor was dismissed. The report was filed with DCFS. We reported the situation to the whole church through email and by hosting a family meeting. And that's where the two of you got involved in what was formed as a safety protocol team or committee. Heather, you chaired it. And Christine, as a staff member, you were right there in the midst of all of it. Now, we just reported a week ago the Protecting Kids document, and everybody has access to that. We emailed it out. It's on our website. We'll put it in the show notes. So we're not going to read the document to everybody, but what we're going to do as part of Under the Hood is pop the hood and talk about, okay, how did we get there? Answer a few more details of what we mean by these phrases. And I love how you and your team broke this document down in steps we have taken, in process, and near future. So well done. That really helps me frame up what's going on. So in the steps we have taken, you said we reviewed our background check process. Okay, what'd you find?
We found out that our background check company is a really good company. They are doing more than a lot of other fancier companies where they do the fingerprint scans and everything is instantaneous. Well, that doesn't check anything outside of our county. So the company we use does county, state, and federal. And so it's really been an amazing thing. Elena in HR did a lot of research on this.
Yeah.
This is the same background check company that the staff has to go through when we are hired.
Okay.
And so it really just confirmed that we were using the right company all along.
Okay. So no changes were needed with background checks.
Not at all.
Okay. The other one you mentioned is safety guidelines and a handbook. And on that one, you noted that there were some needed revisions. Heather, when you say needed revisions, what are we talking about?
So one thing that I noticed was whenever I looked at the document, it said that the volunteers would sign that they received a copy of the handbook, but not that they had read it.
Okay.
And I think that that's a big distinction to make, because I feel like that's it's more of an agreement of, yes, I've read it, I understand what's expected of me, instead of just, yeah, I got it, we're good. So that's a big, that's kind of for me as a teacher too, just knowing like, it's really easy to hand someone a document and say, read this. And they go, yeah, no, I'll totally do that. And then they never pick it up. So I think having them sign that they have read it holds them a little bit more accountable.
Absolutely. And Christine, one of the things you mentioned was it was a 32-page document.
Yes, it was a lot. And so I'm sure most of the people who signed that they received it never looked at it again. Yeah. And so we are working on revising it so that it is actually area specific. So students will have their own student handbook, kids will have their handbook. Our people who work for First Impressions, which is our safety teams and our check-in people, they don't need to know how to change a diaper. So they're going to have a much easier, much more concise.
The guidelines are then, as you just said, concise to where, okay, not only have I read this, but I'm familiar with it and I'm agreeing that these are the policies that when I volunteer, I do this.
And our safety people need to know, like, if we need to do a lockdown, what their procedures are. But not everybody in the back needs to know that, because the safety person will come in and say, we are in lockdown, everyone in this room, in this area, because they're aware of what's going on.
Yes.
So just making it much more precise, concise, and manageable for somebody to really be able to dig into. And to echo on to what Heather said about the acknowledgement, they're going to be initialing the policies about child abuse prevention. They're going to be initialing, especially with the elementary area and preschool area, allergies, that they are aware of what to look for allergies, wellness policies. So they're going to have to have a little bit more ownership than they did with besides just, oh, I got it.
Right. Yeah. I love the comprehensive approach to all things regarding a child's safety. So you talked background check. You talked about our policies and specifically your protocol team looking at those, but you didn't just keep it in-house. You are now involving the Evangelical Council for Abuse Prevention. Tell us about ECAP. What is this group and how did you engage with them?
So ECAP is my baby, and it is an organization that their job is to oversee ministries, Christian schools, different organizations to make sure that they are complying with the rules they say they have.
Okay.
So we could all say we have these great rules, we have these great procedures, we have these great safety protocols, but if we don't follow them, they're not worth the paper they're written on. Is that what that saying is? So they will come in, they are an outside oversight committee. We will do a self-evaluation and we will say, okay, this is what we see. We do this, we don't do this. We started doing this.
Right.
And then they will come in and review things with us and tell us how we can meet the standards that they've established. Their standards are based on California, which has the toughest child abuse prevention standards in the nation. Okay. And they will keep updating them. And if something new comes along, they share that with us. So it's just kind of nice. It's almost like a seal of approval after we receive accreditation. People will know we have gone through this extensive review process to make sure that we are as safe as we can be.
So I love the fact that you've brought in outside accountability. So it's not just us looking at our policies and procedures and deeming them, met. You're actually inviting others to do an on-site visit and to say, okay, here's what you have done, are doing, and give as you said, the seal of approval. And that's coming up quite quickly.
Yes. Well, first we're starting a committee, which the committee is everybody who's been on the safety protocol committee, staff members who work within the Next Gen area, staff members like Alex, your husband, who we don't even think about. He has student volunteers.
Right.
So what are they doing to protect the students there? We're also going to have community members like J.D. Barter and his wife. Both are going to be on the committee because I mean, JD, for those of you who don't know, is the Johnson County Police Chief.
Chief of Police.
Yeah,
yes.
and his wife has worked in public education. She's got an extensive background with
Yes.
that. So they're going to both be on the committee. And actually, anybody else if you do have a heart for this and you think you're interested in it, just send me an email and we can see if we can work that out with our
Yes.
schedule, because we would love to have your input.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now let's talk about some of these trainings under steps we've taken. You have a meeting scheduled for parents on December 9th and one scheduled for students. Talk to us about these safety meetings that we have scheduled and are scheduling.
So I'm leading the parent meeting on December 9th, and it's really just kind of preliminary information about what parents can look for in terms of what does grooming look like, and what are signs of sexual abuse, because sometimes, you're not even aware that what you're seeing is a sign of abuse, and just kind of giving parents the tools that they need to recognize the signs, what they can do with that information, who they can go to, telling them who mandated reporters are. All of us in this room are mandated reporters. And of course, what kind of conversations you can have with your children, because that's a really tough thing for parents to think about. They don't want to think about, this could happen to my child. And I think that something I've said since the beginning is that parents protect their kids from dangers they're aware of. Yeah. And I feel like when it comes to sexual abuse, we kind of associate that with stranger danger, especially those of us that are millennials. The only one in the room. Okay.
Sorry.
Hurtful.
Hey, I'm actually a boomer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Last year of the boomer. So yes.
Okay, boomer.
Baby girl. Baby girl.
But understanding, these are the conversations you can have with your child that are age appropriate, and just kind of giving their children tools that they can use to protect themselves as well.
Oh, thank you for that. Because as you said, parents don't know where to start and think it's just strangers. So thank you for giving our parents that. And again, that training's coming up on December 9th. Thank you for leading that discussion. As our elders got to see what the protocol committee was doing, one of the things I really appreciated about what their insights were, first of all, they asked for a Gantt chart. I didn't even know what a Gantt chart was.
Either did I.
And as a rookie, I would describe it as timelines stacked. And what's so helpful with that is you can see, okay, what has started, how long does that last? And when you compare it to, step one and this other thing, how do they all tie together? And so I really appreciate your work of getting familiar with it, so we could see like this whole process, because this is quite an endeavor that you ladies have launched us into to really seek the safety and ensure the safety of our kids. So a lot of moving parts going on at the same time.
And it never ends. I mean, this is not just we did all this stuff and it's over. I mean, there are going to be ongoing trainings for staff, for volunteers, for kids. We will have all kinds of things going on, because this is not going to be a one and done. This is something that is ongoing as predators become more sophisticated, and kids get more and more immersed in what seems normal. We need to make sure that we are on top of our game, keeping them safe.
The classes are going to be ongoing as well. It's not going to just be a one and done and, we missed it, so we can't get these tools. So it's going to be more than one going on as well.
So good. And kudos from our elders. That is the piece they were most excited about, to see it wasn't going to be something we got excited about, realized the need. Boy, we worked hard, and then we put it on a shelf.
Yeah.
To see the way you ladies have laid out a plan for that ongoing training and awareness. So let's go ahead and step into that in the near future section of this document you've provided. You mentioned ongoing staff training, ongoing volunteer training. So what does that look like, or what will that be as it takes place here in early 2024?
Okay, so the ongoing training most of it will be online, which is a really neat thing, because they will be able to watch it online, both staff and our volunteer teams, at their leisure, but there will be a quiz at the end. And I know people get nervous about quizzes or whatever, but it's based on the information that they saw.
Yeah.
We're not trying to catch them up. We're trying to educate them to make sure that they are aware of what they need to be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also trying to confirm to ourselves that they actually watched the video, that they comprehended what skills needed to be learned from that video, and just really being on top of things. I mean, I know that as a staff, December 1st, mandated reporters training is due.
Mm-hmm.
We just did sexual abuse prevention training, or sexual harassment, kind of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We just did both. We just did that. And
Yes.
so it's important that ongoing training occurs, because I don't want to say we forget, but we need to be reminded over and over again.
Yeah, keep it in front of us.
Yeah,
So
keep it fresh.
I really affirm what you're doing there. And then one of the pieces that you've invited the elders into is to do a walkthrough. I know what will that look like, and why are you excited about us having that from our elders?
Well, we were talking. I mean, first of all, it's really neat that the elders want to do this.
Yes.
That they are not what you were saying earlier. They're not behind the curtain.
Yeah.
That they really want to be actively involved
Right.
in all of this. And we've been talking about kids for all purposes with here. It's 0 to 18 years old, 0 to 17, whatever,
Right.
before they're 18 years old. And so the elders are going to, when the new handbooks are out in January, they're going to all get a copy, and they're going to just kind of wander through, not to do a gotcha, but to see what we're doing well and see things we need to tweak. Because like anything where you've got a lot of people involved, you can always get better.
Mm-hmm.
And also we have the, loose cannon if we have, kids involved.
Yeah.
And so we need to make sure that, because kids are always changing and evolving and what they
Yes.
know. So we need to make sure that we're on top of making sure we are addressing all of their needs too.
Yeah, new kids, new volunteers,
Oh, yeah.
new staff, to keep that in front of all of us is so helpful. And then the ECAP accreditation when will that? You mentioned the things we've started, and
Yes.
then when will that potentially
they
be
said that's
complete?
a 6 to 12 month process.
Okay.
So we will go through, the committee will go through the standards, and we're planning on meeting one time in December. This is a crazy time of year to try to launch anything
Right.
like this, but we're going to meet in December. They'll get a copy of the first standard and kind of go through. And the beauty of it is you don't have to serve in kids. You don't even, wherever you're from, because we need to know what we don't know.
Yes.
Because when you look through your own lens, you think, oh yeah, we got it all. And we don't know what's really, going on. We need to have fresh eyes looking at everything.
Yes.
Right. Mhm.
So this was a situation that hit us really hard and was really unsettling. The first part all happened in 7 days. Like it just everything that happened, from report to dismissal to mandated reporting to family meetings, like all of that happened in 7 days. And now you ladies have been involved in this continuing journey of leading our church into safety. And thank you so much for the roles that you have played. As we have this conversation under the hood, as you have looked at and analyzed and evaluated, now looking back over the last few months, what have you found that was really encouraging about what we already had in place or we were doing?
I think just for one, your transparency with the situation was very encouraging. I think it's a very difficult task to admit when you're wrong, but I think it's also a difficult task to admit whenever you have missed something and it leads to something as tragic and traumatic as this.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think our transparency from the beginning was great. I think that our policies, when we looked at the handbook, there was very little to edit, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that did need to be edited, we all agreed pretty quickly that we need to fix this. And I just think that, honestly, as a church community, our willingness to grow and change is kind of the biggest thing that I think we are doing well.
Yeah, that's really encouraging. Thank you, Heather.
Yeah. I mean, as a staff member, it was so reassuring that everything I knew, everyone knew.
Right.
And it still is. I mean, it's still being processed. I mean, there are times that something comes up and it's just like, oh yeah, that happened. Because it is the ideas. You just like, we're just going to move along. And yeah, we're doing these little tweaks, but that's not what we're doing. We are changing the whole way that we look at protecting kids.
Yes. Yes. So let's step into that one. What did we learn, in being completely honest and vulnerable? What would you say, kind of big picture, did we discover that we did need to improve on?
I think we focused a little bit on, like Christine said earlier, familiarity breeds comfort. And I think that when something is close to you, it's very difficult to see the cracks and the flaws. But whenever, you're a predator, that's what you're looking for. They want to be able to find those cracks and those flaws and the ways that they can work their way in and manipulate. And so I think that we did a very human error in that we trusted somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, trust is an important thing, but I think that it's also important to gauge your feelings as you're going through a conversation with someone. Like, does this feel off? Does this feel weird? Ooh, that comment sounded a little, iffy. And I think that we have a tendency to be like, well, this is a pastor, or this is, a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
This is a person who is a trusted authority figure.
Right.
And, I think that like I said, it was a human error. We cared for someone who took advantage of that, which is very normal to do.
Yes.
Yeah. And something we needed to correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Christine, what would you add to that?
I would just say, discernment.
Yes.
If something feels off, you need to say something. Even if you're wrong, you say something to a trusted person, you say something to an elder, you say something to a pastor. You don't start gossiping.
Mm-hmm.
You go to somebody that you feel as though is in the position of authority to look at something closer.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that was very reassuring in all of this were parents who came forward. One parent came forward, sent me a text for you and I that just said, just so you know, I trust I trust my children's lives with you.
Yeah, I do know that there are some parents who are waiting to see, how we are conducting ourselves through this, what we have done to restore absolute safety to our children's program of everything next gen. And that's our responsibility, to take that honest, complete look at what we have.
Yes.
And as I have shared with staff and elders, we did really well remembering, hey, as First Peter says, love covers a multitude of sins.
Mm-hmm.
Like God's grace abounds. And we fill the gap with trust. Like we assume the best, and yet then we have to validate that.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to do better at catching those times of, it just felt a little bit off, as you said. And we've got to track that down to ensure that that's not an indicator of a much darker issue. We all make mistakes in the things we say. We all have blunders, and yet we have to validate that those blunders was just a one-off. It was the anomaly, not an indicator of something deeper and dark. And we've been working really hard to make sure that we're validating the policies and the protocols and the character of those we've entrusted with our kids. And I could not be more thankful for the role you ladies have played in this essential journey, difficult even, demanding journey that you jumped into. So thank you both for your role. Thank you for the way in which you have restored safety to our children. Thank you for the way in which you led in character. You led with passion, and you made yourselves available to a really, really big job. So thank you for what you've done. Thank you for the way you've blessed our children, and you have blessed our church.
Thank you for letting us.
I was going to say, now we're friends.
Yeah.
So that's a
we got to
blessing
know
too.
each other better.
So good. Thank you.